After this big push, we're taking out that trend line. Again, a lot of people could have been prepared. We had a big more downside movement for USD, but I feel like we could start to see maybe potentially price turn bearish as we see we did struggle to break that high there and about where.
Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Okay, what you're saying, people, and welcome back to another live stream. Now, before we get into this live stream today, make sure you join me on my Telegram channel. Left a link to that in the live chat and also the description below. Posting different trading setups there throughout the week, and you don't want to be missing out on that. So make sure you go check that out. But like I said, another live stream, going to talk you through what's happening in the charts today and see if we've got any opportunities coming our way. So first up, like usual, going to start with Aud USD. You can see for this pair we've had a reaction off that 0.78 level that we were talking about during our live stream yesterday. Again, very key level there on the daily chart, which we did fail to break through yesterday. As you can see, here's the daily chart. We've tested this numerous times with a false breakout. A couple of times now we had the big false move to the upside, tapping into 0.8 there. Then we had that big sell off to the downside. And as you can see, we've been testing as resistance numerous times. Slight false breakout again not too long ago, last week, before we came back in. And now we've just gone and tested it as resistance again. And as you can see on the 4H, we're getting that bearish reaction from that same level. So price right now for AUD is looking quite bearish. However, I do expect to see AUD move to the upside in the near future. So still going to treat this as retracement. We might come back and test at 0.77 again potentially, or maybe retest that previous low there of the market before moving up. But right now it's still looking bearish, and we could probably expect to see maybe a little bit more downside movement for AUD, maybe even back into that 0.77 support like I did say before. But right now we are looking bearish, so not really the best time to look to buy AUD, but it could be coming up after we've seen that bearish reaction, maybe tap back to that support or the recent swing low there on the hourly, and then maybe we can see a bit of a bullish reaction to the upside then. But right now still looking bearish, so nothing there for AUD USD. Euro USD on the other hand, price action is still bullish, but we are getting some inclination that we could be coming back down for a retracement soon for this pair, as you can see there on the 4H. We do have that level there in the market, very key level 1.21800, very key level on the daily, which we did actually just have a break of. If I go on the daily chart, as you can see, we had a strong close above this area, so I'm expecting to see more continuation from a daily point of view. That price is going to continue to the upside back into those highs around 1.23500. So more continuation to the upside for Euro USD with that strong break and close above that key level. Now we could be waiting for that retest, to go and retest it again and then confirm it, then continue to the upside, because we are getting some bearish price action coming in the market. As you can see, very impulsive move to the downside. Overall still slightly bullish, but I think we could maybe fall to the downside, tap back into that that resistance, now turn support, and then maybe get a nice resumption off that into that 1.23500 level. So bias is still to the upside for Euro USD long term, but I think we could maybe see maybe a dip in price, slight push to the downside, retest that area, and then the continuation. And again, could be a good place to look for buys as well, that 1.21800 area. GPUSD, this one as well looks like it wants to have a bit of retracement. We did see a big push to the upside recently. Again, say with Euro USD, you can see we're back into this area. I'm still expecting to see some new highs for GPUSD potentially by the end of the week. We are not too far away from that area there, around 1.42400. So this high with that wick, we haven't quite created new highs yet, but I still think we can. It looks like we might be in for a bit of retrace first before maybe another move higher. You can see in the hourly choppy price action, but overall we are trending to the downside slightly, so could see a little bit more of that on the hourly time frame before maybe pushing up further to the upside. We do have this area here in the market where the price might want to come tap into it before moving higher. So yeah, GPUSD, EURUSD, AUD, look, they were tracing, so we're seeing a bit of US dollar strength coming to the markets. Looking at the DXY, you can see we are pushing up to the upside. We did break for that key level there on the 4H, but you can see in the hourly we're pushing to the upside. So a bit of US dollar strength coming to the markets, and as the DXY, you do expect to see some retracement now after this bearish leg. So we could be seeing a little bit of US dollar strength coming to the markets, which could help with GPUSD retracing, EURUSD retracing, AUD-USD retracing as well. Looking at gold, you can see we're looking a little bit bearish for this one as well. I did say gold could be on its way down, well, not completely on its way down, but looking to at least retrace some of its bullish movements that we've seen in the past few weeks now for this pair. You can see in the 4 hour we've come into that daily resistance. If I go on the daily chart, you can see this our previous kind of like, after that strong impulsive move, we kind of pulled back to this area, held it a couple of times, and then we collapsed from that level to the downside all the way to 1680. So we're back at that level. I'm expecting to see another a bearish reaction. Not expecting to see another push all the way down to 1680, but I'm expecting to see some type of bearish reaction. We've also just broken past this trend line here on the daily as well. The first, second, we had our third test there. Obviously price broke through it, but again, that could just be a slight false breakout before seeing the push to the downside, which I think is still quite likely to happen. You can see the price action there in the hourly looking quite bearish, failing to break through this resistance here. Tested it once, second, third, and we're seeing some real conviction to the downside there. So I'm favoring gold to see a slight drop in price, maybe back down to 1850 or maybe even further than that, depending how bullish the US dollar gets, because obviously it will be affected by the US dollar strength. If we see a lot more strength coming in for the US dollar, could help send gold down a little bit further. But right now it's looking a little bit bearish down the 4H, so I'm expecting to see some retracement to the downside, but long term I still think gold is on its way up. Looking at NZD-USD, so NZD-USD, I thought we could see a little bit more upwards movement for this pair back into 0.73, really key level there on the daily. So if I jump to the daily quickly, you can see resistance there. We have that false break, tap again, resistance, and resistance again there as well. So I expect to see price maybe come back and tap that area before seeing maybe a bigger move to the downside. Looks like price has struggled just before that, kind of tested this area here, and it's having a nice bearish reaction to the downside. So I think maybe NZD-USD could see a little bit more room to the downside. It's looking quite bearish there. It's still holding that kind of bullish structure of push, pullback, push, pullback, but overall it is looking quite bearish. So we might see price fall a little bit further to the downside again, similar to AUD-USD. Could see price move a little bit further to the downside. Looking at USD-CAD, USD-CAD is slowly climbing to the upside. You can see again a bit of retracement coming into the markets. We've recently seen some new lows just below this wick here in the market, so some new lows, and now we're starting to pull back to the upside. So still going to treat that as a pullback, but overall still looking a little bit bullish. So I might see a bit more bullish momentum to the upside before maybe price does fall back down to the downside again, because long term again we're still quite bearish on USD-CAD. You see the trend is still very much to the downside, but we could be in for a bit of a retracement coming up now before maybe the continuation to the downside. USD-JPY, for this pair we've been quite choppy pretty much all week. I believe we did finish the week around this area here, so pretty much all this price action is this week, and price has just been slowly but surely moving to the downside there. Very, very choppy price action. So I think for USD-JPY, I'm still leaning towards the pair coming back down to 108.500, which is this key support. Again, if I just zoom out onto the daily, you can see very strong area of support. 1, 2, false break, 3. So I'm expecting to see that fourth test, but it might come a little bit short and see price go up and test that resistance there again, just because of how corrective the price action is we're getting. I do believe we do have a trend line there on the hourly, looking at all these highs there in the market. So looks like we might be seeing a break of that trend line, of course depending how you draw it, but it does look like price wants to have a test or at least a break of that trend line, and then potentially see price push back to that resistance, go and tap it again. But overall we're still looking bearish. I still think we can get a test of that support down there, but it might mean that we have a pullback into that resistance again to test it for a third time before we do see that continuation back down. Next, we'll take a look at some of the GBP pairs. Pound JPY, you can see we're still bullish here. I did say yesterday during the live stream that would be nice to see a bit of a pullback for JPY, although the market is still quite bullish. We did actually see a pullback, but not quite to the area that I did say yesterday, where we could be seeing a test of before the continuation to the upside. So of course we had previous resistance here in the market where we had that kind of double top, but obviously not double top because the market didn't reverse, but we tested it twice, strong reactions, and we broke through that area. It'd be nice to retest that as support and then see the continuation. But as you can see, price action didn't come and test it quite, probably around 7-8 pips away, and it's looking bullish again. So again, like I did say, I still do expect to see GBJY continue to the upside this week. I do think we can reach 155 on the dot pretty much by the end of the week, or maybe coming into next week. So again, bias is still very much to the upside. But like I said, it would be nice to retrace a little bit further, tap into that level, nice place to look for buys. But again, the market is still bullish, so still expecting that to move higher and push to that 155 area. Looking at GPAUD is still looking quite bullish here. You can see this morning here on the hourly time frame, we had a big push to the upside. Looking at the 4H, very strong candle breaking through those highs. So it does look like, well, it has created some new highs. So this was the previous high of the market. As you can see, we've taken out that high and prices formed some new highs just above there. So GPAD is looking very strong here. Again, I'm not sure if this is a false breakout or not. If you were to come crashing back down, then yeah, it'd probably be a false breakout. But right now, price action is looking very bullish. Look at this from a daily point of view. Again, it's still looking quite bullish. So I think GPAD could be on its way a little bit higher, maybe into this sort of area here on the daily. It's around the 1.84 area before maybe coming back down. So expecting to see a little bit more upside continuation for GPAUD here. So again, if you were to come back down and retest that previous resistance now turned support, that could be a nice place to look for buys there. Of course, if we do get some bullish price action out of that area, but it could be a nice place to look to buy it and look to take GPAUD higher. So I think we could be coming into 1.84, which is up there. That's a good amount of pips away to look to catch as well. Gold, really took a look at gold, expecting to see more continuation to the downside. Taking a look at GBP CAD. So for GP CAD, I believe we are pushing higher for this pair. Last time I saw it anyway. So yeah, we were pushing higher, coming into that same resistance. We have poked ahead just above it, but I wouldn't say we've quite broken past it yet. As you can see, we tested it once, second time there. Bit of a false breakout when we did creep above it. And then we creeped above it again, pulling back a little bit, but again, we need to see how the next 4H candle closes to get a confirmation whether we've broken past it or if we had another false breakout. But I do think GBCAD wants to break to the upside, so I'm favouring more continuation to the upside for GBCAD. 1.72 could be the area that price wants to go and test. Again, very key area of daily support, now time resistance. So basically this whole area here, 1.72, will be time resistance there. So we could come and tap into that level there, or maybe that 4 hourly zone just above it, around 1.72500. But nonetheless, I think GBCAD wants to break to the upside here. So again, I wouldn't, even though it's at resistance, I wouldn't really be looking for sells, because I feel like we will probably break through that area and see a little bit more continuation to the upside there for GBCAD. But if I am wrong and we do see a bit of another false breakout, then we could be in for another swing back to that support, but not really favouring that move just yet for GBCAD. Taking a look at some of the AD pairs, ADJPY. Now this pair, again, very, very choppy like we were looking at yesterday. Again, we have taken out some previous highs, so the market is still bullish, creating higher highs, higher lows. Looking at this from a 4 hourly point of view, as you can see, that big push to the upside. This was retracement there. We push back up, pull back, push back up, pull back. It looks like we failed to create a higher high there in the market. So looking at this from an hourly point of view, as you can see, nice big push, pull back, big push, failed to create a higher high, now a big push back down. So it looks like ADJPY is running out of steam and could be seeing maybe a bigger push to the downside actually, with price failing to create that higher high there. So maybe if you were to see one more push to the upside for ADJPY and fail to create another higher high again, that could be a nice place to look to short the market, expecting to see the market start to exhaust and maybe take a dive to the downside or a deeper retracement. Not exactly a reversal just yet, but it could be seeing a deeper retracement, bit of a counter trend move, before actually seeing the continuation to the upside. So yeah, ADJPY, if you do see a pullback, one more, so a third high there, third lower high, that could be a nice area to short the market, since it does look like we are tiring to the upside and price might be on its way back down. Looking at ADCAD still looking very bearish there in the market. If I drop to the hourly, you can see I said if you had a break of this counter trend line It could take us back to the downside, back down to the lows, maybe even further. And it looks like we just got the break of the counter trend line this morning. So at the time when we were doing the live stream, price actually was still above it, and it did pretty much throughout the rest of the day into the morning. And then we had that break, and it looks like price is very bearish right now. So yeah, for ADCAD, we've broken through the trend line, kind of got back below that support level there in the market. So expecting more downside momentum for ADCAD, pretty much back into this area of support. So pretty much the lows, probably even the lower low, if we get enough bearish momentum to get past it. But yeah, we are looking quite bearish there for ADCAD, and I do expect to see a push back down into 0.93500 and potentially even further if we manage to break through that area. But yeah, ADCAD is looking bearish. ADNZD, again, very, very choppy pair. Don't often trade it, but again, looks to me like it's still trapped in the range. I believe when we were looking at this yesterday, we were trading around this area here. I said we could probably see a dip to the downside to come test the support. Didn't quite have that happen. We came about halfway before price did pull back up against that direction, pushing back into that resistance. But overall, I think ADNSD is still pushing to the downside. You can see if I zoom out and look at the previous price action, we've been trending to the downside quite nicely, and we're still forming lower highs there in the market. So I still expect to see ADNSD fall over to the downside as long as it doesn't breach through that previous high there in the market. So we could trickle up and then fall to the downside again, retesting that same support. So ADNSD, again, very, very choppy pair. You can see the nature of the market, very up, down, a lot of wicks or all around. No real big moves in the market unless there's a big shift, but as you can see, pretty much consolidating most of the time. So I do expect to see another leg to the downside, but again, like I said, not really interested in trading ADNSD right now. ADCHF looking quite bearish. We've taken out that previous low there in the market, strong support which gave us a big move to the upside from around 0.7200. We've broken through it, retested that as resistance, as you can see there, two clear retest of resistance there, 1 2, and now it's looking quite bearish. We haven't taken out this low. If you do take out that low, it could go a lot further, but price action is looking very, very bearish here for ADCHF. So it does look like we're seeing a lot of weakness for AD across the board here. AD USD, ADCHF, ADJPY. It's looking like we're seeing a lot of AD weakness, so might see a bit of a weak AD coming to this morning, maybe even into the afternoon as well. So it looks like we could be seeing a weak AUD, maybe even a weak NZD as well, looking at some NZD pairs. As you can see, look at NZD CAD here, still very bearish. I did say to you guys yesterday that we've got that key resistance here in the market, 0.7400, that if we come up, we test that, hold that as resistance, that could be a good place to look to sell the market in anticipation of another move lower. As you can see, this is a very key support here in the market, big push to the upside from this level, reached all the way to 0.9800 pretty much from 0.7, so it does have a good support, a lot of weight behind it. We kind of had a false break above it there. We come back to retest it, and as you can see there in the hourly, had a few wicks into that level, and now price action is falling to the downside. So expecting more downside continuation now for NZD CAD. You can see overall, if I go on the daily chart, we're still very much in a bearish trend in this market. So now that we're rejecting that area, I do feel like for NZD CAD, we've got a good chance of pushing back down to these lows and probably breaking through them, giving us some new lows, and just seeing that overall bearish trend for NZD CAD continue. So NZD CAD, AUD CAD, still both of them are looking quite bearish there, as you can see. Looking at NZD CHF, again, still looking quite bearish. If we go on the daily for this one, you can see I've highlighted that area that price could potentially come and test, have a deeper retracement, and then maybe the bigger push to the upside. So NZD CHF, again, still looking bearish. So we're seeing a lot of NZD AD weakness, and we might see some new lows, maybe pushing back down to 0.64500 potentially, before maybe a bigger push to the upside. So not really interested in buying this pair just yet. Again, there's no real opportunity to buy. You can see the price action there is pretty much awful, and again, not looking to sell that, probably wanted to sell that much earlier. So expecting to see a little bit more continuation before maybe a bigger push to the upside, but right now not really interested in NZD CHF. NZD/JPY, again, like I did say for this one yesterday, it looks like this one is tiring as we're pushing to the upside. We're starting to fail to create higher highs in the market. So yesterday, I believe we were trading around this area here on the 4H. And I did point out to you guys that we had a nice push to the upside, creating some new highs here in the market. As you can see, some new highs, and then we had this push to the upside again, failed to create a higher high. And now today we've had a push to the upside and again failed to create a higher high. So it looks like the market is failing to push, create a higher high. So it is indicating that price wants to take a dive to the downside. Again, we've got this trend line keeping us in a bullish trend here, multiple tests of the same trend line. So I feel like that trend line is tiring as well and is likely to see a break, maybe not a reversal, but see a break anyway of that trend line and maybe a bigger push to the downside. You can see where we are in the market, a very strong area of resistance. You see we tested it once, twice, big reaction on the second test, and we're back at that same area again. So if we do keep up this price action, I do think NZD/JPY will see a nice push to the downside and potentially could go a little bit further depending how bearish we see that NZD, but it is looking quite bearish and we could be seeing a nice dive to the downside. Euro NZD for this pair, again, still looking bullish. I did say to you guys yesterday, I believe we're trading around this area here, that it looks like Euro NZD might see a push into that resistance up there and just give us a bigger range, because we were kind of trapped in this area pretty much for Euro NZD for quite some time, and that was basically our range for the market with kind of two false breakouts either side. And now it looks like price is breaking to the upside and giving us a bigger range. So now our range for Euro NZD is pretty much that resistance and that support there in the market. A little bit messy there, but hopefully you guys get the gist. We've got just a wider range between that resistance and that support around 1.69700 and 1.66600. So I'm expecting to see some type of reaction at this level. Again, not looking to short Euro NZD straight away, just because it's reached this resistance where we've seen quite nice bearish reactions before. As you can see, we had this really nice double top actually, where tested it once, strong reaction, tested it again, we had that equal strength in the reaction, sent it back down to the exact same level. So it does have some weight behind it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were to go and break through it, maybe spike through it before seeing the reaction to the downside. So basically a bit of manipulation before we see the reaction to the downside. But yeah, Euro NZD is looking bullish here. You can see on the daily, again, it's pushing to the upside. So it does look like we're finding a bit of a bottom here for Euro NZD after this strong bearish trend that we had there since March pretty much 2020. And as you can see, very strong area of support, demand there. Big push to the upside. As you can see, obviously it was helped by fundamentals, but big push to the upside. Now we'll come back to that same area, and looks like we're starting to get that reaction to the upside. This is the weekly chart, by the way. Looks like we're starting to get that reaction to the upside now. So could be seeing a reversal for Euro NZD, and if we are, we do expect to see this level here break and start to see a bigger push to the upside. And at that point, I think we could be looking for price to come to this sort of area here as a general target. So it could be trending to the upside quite nicely, maybe back to 1.7200. Morning, how are you? Hope you're doing well. You in any trades? Let me know. Take a look at them, see how they're going. But thanks again, appreciate you joining the live stream. So yeah, just looking at Euro NZD, and it looks like this pair could be pushing to the upside back to 1.7200. So I'm possibly seeing a reversal here for Euro NZD with this price action here. So could be seeing a new bullish trend in this market. Coming to that resistance, again, not eager to sell it just yet, but might see a bit of a reaction, but I think we'll probably break through it anyway. So not really too interested in selling that. Euro AUD, you can see this one again breaking through that resistance. Yesterday I said if you can manage to get underneath this support retested, we could see maybe a nice move to the downside. However, as you can see, we never got that happen. Price held that support, and we actually got the continuation to the upside, breaking through that resistance. So overall, price action is still looking bullish. Again, Euro AUD, Euro NZD move very similar. So if Euro NZD was going to have a big push to the upside, there's a good chance that Euro AUD was going to follow behind it, or vice versa. And as you can see, this is a very strong resistance here for EURUD, very strong resistance, 1, 2 on our third test. And I think if we break through this, we'll probably start to see a bit of a reversal for this market. And that's what it looks like is happening now for EURUD. And we're seeing that breakout to the upside. So yeah, I'm expecting more continuation to the upside now for EURUD. A lot more, potentially 1.6 could be a target for this trend. And I think we've found a new trend there in the market. So expecting a lot more continuation for the upcoming months. And retracement here could just be another opportunity to buy the pair. Of course, this is a very strong area of resistance, which has now turned a very strong area of support. So if we were to work our way back down to this area, and we do see some buying opportunities, it does look like a good place to look to stick on some buys for EURUD, expecting more continuation to the upside for this pair. But it does look like we are pushing higher now for EURUD, and potential a big reversal for daily, weekly trends here in the market. So could be seeing a lot more bullish movement there for EURUD and EURNZD. USD-CAD, what are you buying or selling USD-CAD? Are you looking to take advantage of the retracement, or are you trying to sell it back down? Because we looked at USD-CAD, and again we had that nice push to the downside, giving us some new lows there not too long ago, and now we're pushing to the upside. So looks like USD-CAD is having a bit of retracement. Again, we looked at the DXY, looks like we could be seeing some strength in the US dollar, which again will help USD-CAD push higher, which is probably why we actually are seeing that retracement higher. Looking at this from the hourly point of view, as you can see, we're still pushing to the upside. Again, we do have this kind of key area of support here in the market. As you can see, we have that big bullish reaction to the upside. Now we're back above that area, and we kind of retested it just now with that kind of bullish candle there a couple of hours ago. So we're seeing a bit more continuation to the upside. We might come to this area here, previous resistance, previous kind of lower high there in the market, maybe trickle to the upside, tap into that area, and then see a reaction to the downside. But USD-CAD, I'm favoring probably a little bit more movement to the upside, and then maybe the bigger move down, because you can see pretty much for this pair the trend is very, very bearish here. So if you're looking to buy, again, wouldn't hold on for it for too long. Short-term buys, take advantage of price retracing, and yeah, could actually see USD-CAD eventually fall bearish again quite quickly. So yeah, it does look like price is now retracing for USD-CAD. You can see a little bit more room to the upside. Again, that 1.21 250 area could be where USD-CAD wants to go before maybe having a bit more, before having another bearish reaction or impulse move to the downside. Maybe even back to that resistance up there if you're lucky. But USD-CAD, yeah, it does look like it's pushing up in a bit of retracement, but again, not seeing anything too major like a reversal or anything like that. Looking at USD-CHF, again, another USD pair. You can see this pair, of course, has had another reaction to the upside. Again, that US dollar strength coming, but also the CHF weakness is coming into the markets quite nicely for USD-CHF. So we've got quite a big impulsive push to the upside there on the hourly. Looking at this on the 4 hourly time frame, you can see we're pushing to the upside quite well as well. Again, the overall trend is still bearish, so nothing major. It looks like just another retracement that we're having here in the market. So push, pull back, push, pull back, push, pull back, push. Now we could be seeing just another pullback there in the market before maybe another dump to the downside. If we start taking out some levels, then yeah, we might be seeing a bit of a reversal and a bullish trend to the upside. But again, there's nothing major for here on USD-CHF. Pretty much all textbook here of just a nice forming downtrend. So yeah, expecting to see a pullback to the upside. Again, not say how far we could get. We could push it all the way back to this area here, maybe even double top it and then fall to the downside, or maybe even halfway and then fall to the downside. But right now we are looking bullish, so I'm definitely favoring USD-CHF retracing, pushing to the upside rather than falling back down all of a sudden. So yeah, USD-CHF looking a little bit bullish, expecting to see some retracement. But again, wouldn't want to hold that for long-term buys. Yeah, we'll take a look at GPUSD right now. So yeah, so GPUSD, I did say earlier that we're coming into a very strong area of resistance, 1.42. again around the previous highs. So yeah, I'm favoring some retracement to the downside now for GPUSD. We've had this big push to the upside from 1.4, create some new highs, not weekly highs but highs on the 4 hourly. You can see previous highs there. We've taken out the high there. So yeah, I'm actually favoring some retracement to the downside now for GPUSD. Looking at this from an hourly point of view, we're forming some lower highs. Probably go to the 15-minute. You can see, looking at price action here, we're forming lower highs here in the market. So slowly just falling to the downside, kind of equal highs there, bit of a false break, breaking through that support. So yeah, GPUSD looks like it's moving to the downside. I wouldn't sell it now. I probably wanted to sell that a little bit earlier, so around here on those lower highs there in the market, and then catch that drop to the downside. At least there you're kind of protected. If you look to short that now, you're coming into an area of support here in the market. So again, not the best place to look to short it. We could see maybe another bullish reaction, actually send us to the highs there. But if you were to see maybe another pullback, and then could look to short it from there. So yeah, I'm favoring more retracement to the downside. Same for a lot of the USD pairs like EURUSD, AUD USD, NZD USD. Some retracement to the downside. You're already seeing that really happen for AUD and NZD anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't short it now, even though I think we could see some retracement. Just because where we are in the market doesn't really make much sense, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, GPUSD looks like it's getting ready to retrace a little bit, but yeah, wouldn't look to sell that now, just because you're coming to that support and could cause a bit of a reaction there to the upside. So not the best optimal place looking to short that, but yeah, we could see some retracement. And like I said, similar for EURUSD, could see some retracement there as well. Again, yesterday I did highlight this area as a key level of resistance here in the market on the daily, which would now be turned support. So for EURUSD, I do think that's where we could potentially come and retest to confirm the breakout of that resistance from a daily point of view. So again, you can see this from the daily, very strong resistance there, 1, 2, nice wick there, again catching people on the wrong side of the market, nice drop to the downside, back at that same area, retested it for first time there, for the third time, and then we've broken through it. So it would be nice to see a retest of that area, hold it as support, and then we can see the continuation to the upside, back to that 1.23500 area, back to those highs, maybe even further as well, because at that point the trend will be in full swing. So yeah, expecting new highs there. But GPUSD, EURUSD, it looks like we've had a big push to the upside the past couple of weeks or so. So they're getting ready to have a bit of retracement with some profit taking coming there in the market. So yeah, EURUSD, GPUSD, I think EURUSD in my opinion looks a little bit better to short in my opinion. So if you could see maybe another push, form another lower high there, and can look to take that down maybe on the 30-minute, 15-minute, back into this key level here, 1.21800, 1.21750, and then could be looking for some buys here if we get the confirmations, and look to take that higher, because again, it's a very key level, and if we do hold that, I'm pretty sure, well, good chance anyway, we could probably see just in the market fill that range into the upside and all the way back to those highs there. So there's a lot of potential for more upside room for EURUSD. Same for GPUSD as well. Still very biased to the upside for GPUSD long term. Expecting us to reach around 1.44 potentially for GPUSD before maybe having a bigger reversal. So yeah, expecting more continuation for these USD pairs, but it looks like we're in some retracement right now before we see that continuation. Going to take a look at some Euro pairs now because I haven't looked at them. Eurocad, so for Eurocad, again, you can see very bearish trend here in the market. Recently had a big pullback, giving us some new lows there. Here on the 4H, you can see you've had a push to the upside. Price action is trying to turn bullish here. Did break through this level here. I'll say the main level to look at is probably this resistance here in the market, because that is the level that did give us that lower high there in the market. And you can see low pullback there, it gave us a new low. This, although it did give us a push to the downside, but it wasn't giving us a new low, so it's not really a major structural point to look at, but this level is. So price coming up to this level, again, it is a significant point, and if we were to break through it, then we'll probably see potentially not not a reversal just yet. Can't just say because we broke that resistance we're seeing a reversal, but it could give us the indication that we could be seeing a bigger move to the upside and potentially a reversal. So if you do take up that level there for Eurocad and we see a bit of retracement, could be a nice time to buy the pair and could see a bigger push to the upside. However, if we don't and we reject this level here, there's a good chance Eurocad could just come straight back down to this support, maybe mess around for a bit, consolidate, and if it breaks through that support, then we'll just see a continuation of the bearish trend that we have for Eurocad here for the past few months now. So yeah, Eurocad is still bearish in my opinion, but if it does take out that level, we could be seeing a bigger push to the upside, and if we get a nice pullback to a nice area in the market, again, it would be interesting to look for buys for that pair. But right now, we're at that resistance, and if it does reject it, which so far we're having a bearish rejection there on the full H, hourly we're seeing some conviction to the downside. We could be seeing a nice drop to the downside there for Eurocad with all those wicks there as well. So it's having a hard time trying to break through that area. So I'm probably going to expect to see Eurocad take a push to the downside there. Looking at CAD JPY. So CAD JPY, we had this channel here in the market. Again, I did say, again, long-term CAD JPY is still pushing to the upside. But if we do have a break of this trend line, we might be seeing a push to the downside. So again, we've had the break of the trend line now. It looks like price has struggled to break through this resistance here in the market. So it's looking like it's running out of steam. It hasn't really made a new low yet. So just because we've got the trend line break doesn't mean that we're going to come to the downside. We need to see a little bit more conviction than that. As you can see, we are still forming higher lows here in the market with this push here, potentially this push here as well. So we still have that in the market and can still just slowly push it higher. But if you were to push the downside, break some lows, have a nice pullback, maybe back into that same level, then that could be a nice time to short the market and seeing a drop to the downside. Because looking at this from the higher time frame, we are quite overextended here for CAD JPY. We've been in a big bull run for the past few months. So price action is due to see some retracement for CAD JPY. Although I still do see a little bit more room to the upside, but yeah, we could see some retracement first before having that continuation. But yeah, in my opinion, still a little bit bullish there for CAD, so we might see another push into that resistance. If it breaks through it, I would say we're back very much bullish and probably see more continuation. Hey William, how you doing? Hope you are doing well. Thank you for joining, does mean a lot. If you know any pairs, let me know. We'll take a look at them, see how they're going. Or if you're looking at some pairs that you're interested in trading or just want some analysis on, let me know. We'll take a look at it together. But yeah, welcome and thank you for joining the live stream. Taking a look at CAD CHF. So yeah, CAD CHF, again, another CAD pair. For this one, I did say that for CAD CHF, we could maybe be seeing a push to the downside for this pair if we do take up that support. Looking at this from an hourly point of view, you can see we did fall into that area. We tapped into that support, and as you can see, we did have a reaction to the upside, which was expected because that was kind of the previous low, where we did see a lot of impulsive candles come into the market. So there's very strong demand down the 1H, and as you can see, we're having a bit of a bullish reaction. But again, it is something to note that for this pair, when we did have that push to the upside, the last push, we did fail to create a higher high there in the market. So it is something to notice, but nothing major just yet. Maybe we were to push to the upside one more time again, fail to create another higher high, so we create a lower high. That could be a nice place to short the market, and another push to the downside back into that same support, and then maybe a potential breakout as well, and a bit of a reversal. Because looking at this on the daily chart, you can see where we are in the market. Very strong area of supply, previous resistance. We are running out of steam coming to that area. You can see last time we were here, we did break through some key levels there, push to the downside, creating these lows. So we could actually see potentially another low below that area there as well. So that is something to note for CAD CHF, that we could potentially be in for a bigger move to the downside if that price action there on the daily does play out. But yeah, probably want to see one more push to the upside for CAD CHF, and then see another lower high formation, and then could we look for some shorts and a bigger push to the downside. But right now we're in that support, so not really interested in looking to sell this right now. Of course, it looks very bullish, probably more interested in buying that up. But yeah, if you were to push to the upside, of course, and actually take out that level there, price action will probably start looking bullish again, probably see a higher low formation, and then kind of see each other run to the upside. So at that point, we're back bullish. But if you were to push the upside from this price action here, fell at creating a higher high, then yeah, that'll be a nice area to let's just short the pair there. Okay, so yeah, Eurocad, we're looking at Eurocad there. I did say for Eurocad, it would be nice to see a break. Ooh, it would be nice to see a break of that resistance there that I have in the market there for Eurocad. So it's looking like price could potentially turn bullish if we do take that resistance there for Eurocad, because I feel like this was the previous high there in the market, so it could send us back down. But if Eurocad does break through this, then I think we could be seeing a bigger move to the upside, potentially a reversal, or at least a bigger move to the upside anyway for Eurocad. So yeah, it's got that last kind of barrier to break through, but if it does break through, it does look like Eurocad is on its way up. GBCAD, however, again for that pair, I think GBCAD looks a little bit better than Eurocad, because again, GBP is slightly bullish here, but again, as you can see here, we're pushing to the upside. Again, we're still at that same resistance, so we haven't quite broken through that yet as well. We did kind of have a false break on not too long ago, price pushed back down, having sort of that again, but I wouldn't say it's a false breakout because the candle hasn't closed yet. This bearish candle could still pull back up, close bullish, and continue further. But yeah, I'm favoring for GBCAD to continue to the upside for this pair. You can see we had that pullback into that support there. Price action had 2 attempts to try to break through it, failed to do that, pushed up, bit of retracement, with another continuation to the upside here. Again, previous resistance is going to have some sort of struggle at breaking through it, but I think we can break through it and push into that 1.72 barrier there, which is kind of a key level on the daily, and if we break through that, could go a lot further there as well. So GBCAD looks a little bit better than Eurocad, but if they do, obviously, because they've both got CAD in the pair, so if you do see that excuse me, if you do see that weakness in the CAD, we'll probably see more continuation to the upside for GBCAD and Eurocad, so they look good there as well. And UCJPY, yeah, I did say for UCJPY on my weekly analysis that, again, we'll come into this key area there on the daily, and I do expect to see a push to the downside from that area, because again, it was that previous resistance tapped into that same area again. And even look at this from a daily, and if I take into account this point here in the market, taking that across, you can see we've actually tapped into that area there, which is a key level, in my opinion. Very big push to the upside, big dump back down, and actually started giving us this bearish trend in the market. We did see a false break of it not too long ago, and now it looks like we've tapped back into that area, and then we saw the reaction to the downside. So yeah, UCJPY, in my opinion, does look good for shorts because it looks like it has the false breakout, the retest, and now we're going to see the continuation. We've got a little bit of a trend line here in the market. So again, you've got the trend line here, so 1, 2, and now having that third test there, that same trend line. So I think that's kind of like the last barrier for UCJPY. If it breaks through the trend line, it's likely going to break through that area there as well, and then see the continuation to the downside. So that is what I'm framing there for UCJPY, seeing a bit of a bullish reaction, which is expected because we're coming into that area of demand there. So we might come and retest that, but as long as we don't break through that resistance, I still see more continuation to the downside for USD JPY. Yeah, sure. So looking at Eurocad, like I said, on the daily, so yeah, we got that price action there quite well on the daily actually. So we had those bearish candles coming in, and then we had that spike below, just below that low there in the market. I think I'll probably do that with paintbrush so it's a little bit more clearer. So we had that spike below there in the market, which again gives us a nice formation, bit of manipulation to the downside, push up, push down, fake people out, and now the push up again. So yeah, we had that engulfing candle yesterday, and it does look like we could be getting that push. But like I said, we've got that kind of resistance there on the lower time frames, but if it does break through that, I think we could see a bigger push to the upside. Again, we do kind of have this area here in the market, which from a daily point of view makes sense of where we could be seeing a push to. Nice area of supply where we did really take off to the downside. So if this does push on, I think that is probably where expecting price to go and reach 1.49500, that area there. Might see a bit of a bearish reaction, could send us back down, but we definitely create some new lows here. So we're likely going to see some retracement now to the upside. And GBCAD, same thing as well. Looking quite bullish down the daily. Again, slightly better there than Eurocad. So if I get rid of some of the levels here, you can see we've had this big push to the upside. We did wick there, creating some new highs. Bit of retracement, and then we had that engulfing candle yesterday. So it looks like we're getting that continuation to the upside. And like I said, that 1.72 key level there on the daily, where we've seen support. Nice reaction to the upside. So it will be time resistant. So that is an area to take note of, because it could potentially send us down. But again, if you were to break through it, it could take us much higher. So key level to keep in mind that it's ahead of you there. But yeah, GBCAD push to 1.72 does look likely, and if you break through it, it could go a lot further. Doesn't break through it, probably come down, maybe even back to these lows down there. So two possible situations there for GBCAD, but I think we could at least see a push to 1.72. So yeah, I hope that analysis did help for those pairs there. And if anyone else, again guys, wants me to take a look at any different pairs, just let me know. We'll take a look at them together, and also mention the time frame you're trading on as well. So I know some of you guys like to trade in the low time frames, 15-minute, 5-minute. Let me know, look at those together, or even the high time frames as well. We'll take a look at them together as well. Looking at EuroCHF, so another euro pair. Looks like this one is pushing to the upside. I remember talking about this pair when we were back over here, expecting to see a push to the upside. We had this big push to the upside here, creating some new highs. I said it'd be nice to see a bit of a pullback there for EuroCHF, and as you can see, we had that pullback back to this kind of area of demand there, and now price is still pushing to the upside. So EuroCHF is looking, I wouldn't say bullish or overall again, because it's still in a bearish trend here in the market. As you can see, we are still creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. But I think if we can maybe take out some key levels here in the market, so this resistance here, if we can take that out, I think we can be seeing a continuation of this bullish trend, because you can see the nature of the market. We had this big impulsive move. This price action here looks to just be retracement for another bigger push to the upside. So very textbook there for EuroCHF. And of course, if this pattern does play out, you could be seeing a really big push to the upside for EuroCHF, and a really nice bullish trend, which again, taking that into the lower time frames, could be nice areas to look to buy the pullbacks and just ride the continuation. So yeah, EuroCHF looking bullish here. I'm expecting a bit more more to the upside there. We're coming into these levels here where we did see some strong bearish reactions come in, so might see a bit of a bearish reaction there, because again, we've had this big push to the upside, creating some new highs past these highs over there. So we are due a retrace, so could come into here, a bit of a retracement, and look to take that high again there. So expecting more upside for EuroCHF, but again, like always, creating new highs, expecting a bit retrace first before we do see that continuation to go much higher there for EuroCHF. But if we do that, again, it could be a nice area to look to get involved in some buys, maybe around this area here. Previous resistance here in the market, so resistance. If it does turn support, could be a nice area to look to buy around 1.09800. And if you do hold that area, we could see a lot more continuation to the upside for EuroCHF, of course, if you do go and hold that area. But yeah, expecting more movement to the upside there for that pair. So yeah, currently involved in my Euro USD position, which does look like it's retracing right now. Again, I did say it would be nice to see a push into that level if we do hold it, and more continuation to the upside. and just look to fill that range, because again in the daily we've had that strong breakout past that resistance there in the market. So again 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth we've broken through it. So nice to get that retest and then look for the continuation to the upside back into that resistance all the way up there. So that's what I'm favoring, but right now I'm thinking we could be in for some retrace, which does look like it's already happening. So if you do see that retrace come in and we come into this area, could look to add some buys there for Euro USD if you do get the price action, and look to ride it to the upside. And we do have a really nice range as well between this support here 1.21800 and the resistance all up there around 1.23 400. So again, if we measure that in pips, about 150. So there's a lot of room to the upside, a lot of room to catch, a lot of pips to catch potentially, of course, if that plays out. But yeah, looking for buys for USD. If you do come back and retest that, then we could see the continuation to the upside from there. So overall bullish on USD, but would like to see a bit of retracement, retest it, and continue to the upside. I will exit my remaining positions that I do have on from down here if we do actually go and push down and break through that area. We could actually see a bigger move to the downside if that happens, because that means that this price action was a false breakout of that resistance here in the market. So if that does happen, I don't really want to be involved for that to happen. If it does happen, of course, I will exit the remaining positions if that does happen and we break through there. But if we do hold this, then I'm looking for more room to the upside, back to the highs up there, because I'm favoring a bit of retracement. Again, we looked at the DXY, looks like we could be seeing some retracement for this pair, maybe even into that level and the resumption off, or maybe a deeper retracement and then the fall to the downside, because overall we're still very much trending to the downside here. Price is making lower lows, lower highs very clear. So if we were to push to the upside, as long as we don't take out this level here, which did form our lower high, I'm seeing more downside continuation for the DXY. So again, the US dollar, which will help Euro USD move to the upside. Again, same with AUD USD, which is still retracing to the downside. And again, I did say expect to see a bearish reaction from this level here, very key level 0.78. This here was a big false breakout that we had last week, and now we come back to retest it. And I think if we take up this low here, we'll probably come back down to 0.7 support, which could be a nice place to look to buy back in again actually. So that could be a nice area to look to focus on, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were to dip below it and then see the move back up, just because we've been bouncing through this support so many times. It's coming due time before we do a bit of a false breakout of it, again fake some people out, maybe test the support just beneath it before pushing back up and then seeing the continuation higher. So yeah, AUD again long term still expecting a move higher, but looks like we've just had a bearish reaction from that resistance, very key level 0.78. And if you do come into this area, looking for the buys, but if we can see a bit of a spike below, again that could be a really nice manipulation to get involved in, and if we do push back up and resume off that same level. So looking for buying opportunities for those pairs, but right now still quite bearish. Yeah, so I start streaming 10 a.m. GMT time, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So for next week, you've got no excuses. You have to be there on time. 10 a.m. GMT. But at least you still got an hour. Switch to dark mode. I prefer the light mode. I don't really like the dark mode. I used to have the dark mode, but switched to light. I feel like I can see the candles a little bit better of the wicks as well. Again, that's my preference there, but yeah, I do prefer the light mode anyway. So, are any of you guys in any trades? Feel free to share. Again, no judgment here. If you're losing or winning, no judgment. We all take losses. We all take wins. So yeah, it looks like USD CAD is still pushing up as expected, to be fair, because again we're having that retracement, and I think we could push back to that level there, 1.21200, before maybe seeing a bit of retracement further down. So yeah, looking like we are getting that US dollar strength coming in. Again, well, my chart looks a little bit messy there for that scribbles. And the gold sells. So yeah, gold, like I did say yesterday, that again expecting to see a dip to the downside for gold. Yeah, gold again, like I said yesterday, we're coming to that very key level there on the daily. So you can see you had this big spike to the downside, then we pull back up to this resistance here. We held there a couple of times, then we had that big takeoff to the downside. We had that trend line there as well. So again, first, second, we've broken past that trend line, but I did say that again we could just easily just have a slight break of the trend line, because again trend lines are quite subjective, so we're likely to see slight false breaks. So again, that wasn't too alarming that we broke through that trend line. I'm still expecting to see some type of bearish reaction there for gold, and as you can see, we had this key level, daily level, and then we had that hourly resistance there as well. We tested it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then we rejected that on that third time, and as you see, we come crashing down quite nicely. So yeah, I'm expecting to see gold push down maybe a little bit lower, maybe back into this resistance here. I think it will get back below the trend line, or maybe at least retest the trend line anyway. But yeah, get back below the trend line potentially, maybe come back to 1854 or 1852, maybe even 1844, depending how bearish it is. But I think gold could come down a little bit more, although for gold, again, I'm still very biased to the upside for gold long term. I still think we can go reach 2000 again soon, but short term gold looks like a sell here. I think a little bit more before gold does eventually do turn around and become bullish again. So yeah, I think gold a little bit more room to the downside, at least again test the trend line there, or maybe 1854, that prior resistance, breaks through that, then 1844 I think it could come and test before maybe having that bigger push to the upside. And again, 1844 anyway is a nice place to look to buy it anyway, so if it does come there, it gives a really nice opportunity to look to long the pair. But gold is due some retracement anyway after the big push we've seen to the upside for that pair. NZD CAD, we looked at NZD CAD. NZD CAD were looking like a really good selling opportunity. Again, we were looking at this pair, very key level here in the market. So again, support gave us a big push to the upside. And I said yesterday, if we do have a pullback and we come to this area here, if we do reject it, would be a nice place to sell the market. You can see we're rejecting there quite nicely, had a bit of consolidation, broke above it, broke back below. So turns out that was a bit of a false breakout there in the market to come and retest it on that retracement. We had a few wicks that will push into the downside. So I'm favoring NZD CAD coming back down to these lows here in the market. We'll go back down to those lows, 0.86700, and potentially some new lows below that as well. So yeah, NZD CAD looks like a good trade there. It's looking very bearish, and I think we could see a little bit more room to the downside, back to the lows anyway. Potentially, again, of course, if we do have that momentum behind this, I think NZD CAD could be on its way to some new lows there as well. CAD CHF, we were looking at CAD CHF. Yeah, so yeah, I'd say CAD CHF looks like a good long opportunity coming from that very strong area of demand. You can see this was a higher, it potentially is a higher low formation, and as you can see, very big push to the upside on impulsive candles, strong demand. We come back to tap it again. As you can see, a nice bullish reaction there as well. So I favor CAD CHF pushing to the upside. excuse me, my bad. But yeah, I favor CAD CHF pushing to the upside. Potentially could form maybe a lower high there in the market. If it does, then I will be looking to short that, because CAD CHF did form a lower high here. So if it does it again, we'll look to short CAD CHF from up there. Not really too interesting CAD CHF now, but it does look like a good buying opportunity from that support. So I do favor more upside for CAD CHF there, maybe back into that resistance there. But of course, like I said before, if it does push up, takes out that resistance there, we'll probably back bullish again, and we'll probably see CAD CHF back at highs. So does look like a good opportunity there. 0.75236. 0.774. So you bought it around here, I would say. So yeah, it looks like a good buy there. Again, stop loss, I would assume, is just below this area here in the market. So it looks like a good buy. Take that to the upside. Again, probably want to get your stop loss to break even once you get a bit of mileage on the trade. But yeah, it looks like a good trade there for CAD/CHF. Yeah, Bitcoin. So take a look at that. So yeah, Bitcoin, obviously big dive to the downside. So yeah, we did break through this trend line here not too long ago, as you can see. Broke through the trend line, pull back, and then we saw the continuation to the downside from that lower high. Now we're back at this key area of demand. So I did say if you break through this support here in the market, there's a good chance we'll probably push back down to this area here. And yeah, it looks like a great trade to the downside. How come you shorted Bitcoin there? Was it because of technicals, or you just feel like Bitcoin was on its way down because it's had such a big push to the upside recently? So, because again, I know some people were probably looking to take profit there for Bitcoin, so you just look to short it because, again, profit taking, retracement, we had a big push, big bull run, or because the technicals there, because again, I don't know too many people looking to short Bitcoin for that long term anyway. So yeah, but anyway, it looks like a great trade anyway. Big push to the downside. Again, coming to a key area though, could have a bounce, but and there's not much there yet for Bitcoin. You've seen the 4H still quite bearish there as well. Aud Usd long, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so yeah, Aud Usd, like I said earlier for this one, not a fan of this pair. Very, very choppy. Again, I personally don't think, yeah, Aud Usd is a great pair. You can see it's very, very messy, very choppy. Don't really often trade it anyway. But Aud Usd is coming to this resistance. So again, not too sure about this opportunity here. Looking for a long on Aud Usd, depending on what time frame you are trading actually. But coming to the 4H, we do have this area in the market here where we're forming lower highs. So we could push up, maybe form a lower high here and push back down. Unless, of course, if we were to actually go and break through this resistance here in the market and see a new high, because just following the structure of the market, we're making lower lows, lower highs. You can see you had this big pullback from that high there, pull back. So potentially we could actually fall to the downside. So I'm not really convinced for Aud Usd just yet for this pair, but of course if you were to take out that high there, then we'll probably could see a lot more continuation to the upside. But yeah, Aud Usd for me, not really good pair to trade. Excuse me, I've got a sore throat. Don't have COVID though, don't have COVID. But yeah, I do have a sore throat there. But yeah, Aud Usd coming to that resistance doesn't look like the best opportunity for me. It'd be better if, of course, you might be in Aud Usd from further down, but if you were to push the downside back again, that could be a nice place to look to get involved and a push to the upside there. But this opportunity here coming to that resistance doesn't look like the best long, in my opinion. But CAD/CHF looks a lot better. Yeah, I mean, nice William, because again, you don't know where that trade could lead you to for Bitcoin. We could see a very big push to the downside, or maybe see Bitcoin reverse and go back to highs, because again, anything can really happen with that pair. anyway. So yeah, break even, see what happens, and so far it is still falling to the downside, so it's like a great trade. Entry 1.07. So around here. So yeah, I assume you're in a little bit of profit now, so you're not too bad. I think if you were to see a big push for AUD back into this area around 107, around 107 900, I'll probably recommend maybe putting stops at break even potentially, just to protect yourself, because we're coming to an area of resistance. You got the lower high there, could send you back down if price does reject that area. But right now, of course, you probably are a little bit profits pushed to the upside. So if you do see one more push breaking through those recent highs there on the hourly, so this area here, if you do see a break of that, pushes into that area, probably want to move stops to break even. I do apologize, a bit of a messy chart here for my drawings. But yeah, if you were to break through that resistance, I'll probably recommend bringing stops to break even, because we could see price reject and come back down. But of course, if you do see price take out these levels here, it could be a really good trade. Maybe you can see a bit of a reversal there for AUD and see a bigger push. But again, we won't know until that's happened. So yeah, a trading stop could work quite well there for Bitcoin, because again, we've had that big push to the downside and it's pushing back into some key areas where Bitcoin might want to look to turn around. I would say the major swing low is obviously this point here in the market. So if Bitcoin was to pass through that level there and see price break through this level here, then yeah, we could actually see a lot more downside continuation for Bitcoin there. If you were to break through, I think that's around 30,000. If you break through 30,000, then yeah, Bitcoin could see a lot more room to the downside. But we could actually maybe come around this area for maybe a lower high around here and see a continuation to the upside there for Bitcoin. But right now, again, still looking very, very bearish. So again, I would say anything to be scared about now, but again, anything can really happen with that pair anyway. Don't really trade it myself. Euro GBP, we'll take a look at that pair. Okay, so Euro GBP, looking to long run daily close. So yeah, daily close, could be seeing that continuation up. For me, this pair, we had that big impulsive move not too long ago. As you can see, we had the support here in the market, we dipped below, see a lot of bearish price action, and we had this impulsive move indicating to me that this here was just a big false breakout. Now we've seen the continuation, bit retracement, bigger push to the downside. I think we could be seeing that push higher looking at the lower time frames, because for UGP, we've pushed up, had that pullback, pushed up again. If you do reject that area, you'll probably see price actually move lower. So that probably means even by the end of the day, the candlestick will probably push down anyway. So you probably wouldn't want to buy that anyway. But if you do keep that price action up and price breaks through that resistance, giving a strong daily close, then yeah, there's a good possibility of price running up back to these highs, 0.87, then potentially even much higher than that as well. So yeah, UGP could see a lot more upside potential, because it has been moving to the downside for quite some time for UGP past few months, and it is quite overextended to the downside. So it is due that retracement now, slash reversal slash counter trend move to the upside. and seeing a bit of a relaxation there in the market, because it is very, very overextended. So yeah, if you do get a strong daily close, for UGP, I think it could be a nice potential buy there in the market. Yeah, sure, we'll take a look at that now. So, so for this pair, we've seen a bit of consolidation here on the daily, as you can see there. Again, price action a little bit unclear. We do have this kind of key support running through the market here on the daily, which is something to note, that we've seen price action test this support a few times, broke below a few times, well, a couple times anyway, as you can see, 1, 2, and now we're back above it after creating a new high there in the market. So I think for this pair approaching that key level, I think for this market, we're probably going to see a push to the upside. I reckon we've seen this 2 dips below the support. We'll see 1, 2 dips below, and for me that gives a nice double bottom there in the market, showing we can't break through that barrier. Testing it once, testing it twice, and I think we could see a push to the upside and a bit of retracement, maybe even back into that resistance. Not saying that we could potentially go a lot further and create some new highs, but I think we'll probably see a reaction to the upside from this level. If we don't, then probably see price leak down back into that same area of support, 1, 2, 3, and if you break through that, then yeah, we'll probably see a bigger move, but not seeing too much downside after we see that resistance. Yeah, I think around this area here would have been a nice sell after seeing that big spike down. Then we pushed up, that could be a nice sell there on the 4H. Not too sure about the daily, in my opinion. Maybe a little earlier on from previous candlesticks there to the downside, because we're coming into that support. But if we do have a strong close below that level, we might see a bigger push in the daily 4H. That was a good sell from that opportunity. That resistance there just spiked above that previous high. Then we saw that dump to the downside. But yeah, we're coming into that key level, and I think we can see a nice bullish reaction. Of course, if we hold it right now, that candlestick of the 4H is very bearish. Hourly still looking very bearish as well, so there's not much to indicate that we're having that bounce to the upside. But because of the level, seeing how it's reacted down the daily, I think we can have that bounce to the upside. So again, not saying just stick a buy in there randomly, but probably wait for some confirmation, and if we do, I think we could slowly trickle back to the upside, maybe even back to that resistance. But however, of course, if I'm wrong and we do see a break of that support there in the market, probably opens up some sells back into this support here in the market. Yeah, potentially could be a triple top. But for a triple top to really play out, you really want to see a break of that support there in the market. You want to see a break of this support in the market, because if you're following the structure in the market, we're still technically bullish. We are still bullish here, even though we've had this big push to the upside, and we started trending to the downside here, and a push to the upside, taking out these previous highs there in the market. Then we had a pullback back to these lows, slightly to form a new low, but then we had another push forming new highs up here. So we are still technically bullish. Of course, we have rejected this resistance 3 times now, but I say you want to take a full advantage of that triple top. Probably want to see a break of the key level and wait for the retest, and then maybe look to take advantage from this level here in the market. So the break, the retest, and then it to short back into that support. And if you break through it, then the triple top will really have that steam to play out. But my opinion, the market is still bullish, so I'm still favoring a push higher back into that resistance and then the continuation. But of course, if you were to break through that, then you could be playing out, or of course you could wait for the break of that support, but again, that's still quite a long way away. So yeah, the triple top could be on, but I'm not really favoring that situation right now. If you do break that support, then I'll probably change my bias, but I think right now I'm favoring a move to the upside for this market, back into that resistance and then potentially higher. And again, it's all about just staying on your toes. If price action gives us a nice price action, bullish price action and that level, we could be looking for buys. But of course, if it doesn't and it remains bearish and it just breaks through the level, you know, reacting to that and then be able to adapt to changing our bias from bullish to bearish, and then look for a short back into the support down here. So, I mean, it's pretty much what happened with the price action here in the market. As you can see, we spiked above this level. We came down, slight reaction, but again, not really much to take too much interest in. We broke through. We then came back and retested here in the market with these wicks. We tested the level and then we dived to the downside back into that support there. So if you do kind of have just a repeat of that price action, then you can take advantage of that retest and look to short. But if we don't and we actually hold the level this time, then yeah, I'm favoring price back to those highs up there. So yeah, I hope that analysis did help. So yeah, gold's still looking very bearish. It is actually pushed back down into the trend line now. So you had that trend line retest. So technically, from technical point of view, you know, we've had the break and retest. Although I think that potentially is just a false break anyway. So we could see price action go a little bit further than that trend line. But it is coming back to that prior resistance. So yeah, gold could see a bit of a bullish reaction. Again, I am long-term bullish in gold, so could be looking for buying opportunities, but I personally would not be looking to buy from here. Probably wait for price to pull a little bit further and then give a nice buy there opportunity in the market. But right now, gold is still looking very bearish in my opinion. I think we could see a little bit more room to the downside for gold. Thank you, much appreciated, much appreciated. Yeah, I'm currently in a Euro USD trade in some longs from back down here from last week. Already taken most of my profit already for Euro USD when we reached this resistance here in the market, because I wasn't sure if we're going to get a break or not, and there's a good possibility price was going to reject it and come right back down against me. So I did close most of my profit here, left a small bit to run, and we did actually see a break of that resistance. However, we're looking quite bearish now. And I think we could be coming back to retest this and then look to continue off it to the upside. So I will be waiting to see if we can get another buying opportunity for Euro USD on that same level. But however, if we were to break through that level and then retest it and continue down, I'll close the remaining position that I have on from the support that I have back down there. So prepared to add a new trades to the Euro USD in preparation for more upside continuation for the pair. But of course, if price was to break for that level, I'll just close the position that I have running right now. So yeah, currently in that Euro USD long, still holding on, because I still think, even though my trade was just to reach that level, I think because we had that strong breakout, I just clear up the chart for a second, because I think we had that strong breakout yesterday with that strong close above. I feel like we could be seeing a continuation back to highs for USD. So I'm just going to let a little bit trickle to see if we can go and reach that highs there and really milk the trade. But if we were to break through that resistance again, then I'll just close it completely, because at that point it turns out that this might just be a false breakout and that we could see a push back into this support here in the market, which don't want to be involved in. So yeah, waiting for some buying opportunities for Euro USD around 1.21800, so you can get a nice bullish reaction from there, and then looking to take that higher back to these highs here, around 1.23500. So yeah, bullish on Euro USD, but right now getting some retracement to the downside. Similar with GPUSD as well, expecting more retracement. You can see we are pushing to the downside quite nicely. We looked at this pair earlier and you can see we're still pushing to the downside. We've created some nice lower highs there in the market and we just kind of respected that and fell over. So again, like I said, DXY, we are pushing to the upside. We are seeing some strength coming into the market. As you can see, we found support here and a big push to the upside. Recently, we just created some new lows past that low there. So do some retracement and then the continuation. So again, that is why I'm favoring those sales for USD because of that pullback there, back to a key level of some kind, and then the continuation, which will kind of help with the USD trade if you pull back and then see the continuation, because again they're inversely correlated. So yeah, just waiting to see if you can get that opportunity. Looks like it might come tomorrow or maybe by end of the week, and then maybe the continuation after that. Of course it could be a false breakout as well, so have to take that into account as well. Looking at GBJPY as well, for this pair, again, I said it would be nice to see a bit of retracement coming back into this area here, which does, looking at price action again, does look like it could happen. We look at GPUSD, it was quite bearish as well, and GPUSD, GBJPY do move sometimes very similar. So if GPUSD is going to take a dive, sometimes you could see GBJPY follow suit behind it as well. So again, if GPUSD wants to have that retracement, we might be seeing a retracement again for GBJPY as well, because I did say again yesterday, if we saw GBJPY, because we had that breakout, this consolidation, if we did see a retracement back into this key level, former resistance and support around 154,300, that'd be a great place to look for buys, again probably in the lower time frames, 30 minutes, and look to target 155, because that was kind of the key level that I had for a weekly target that I do expect to see GBJPY get to or reach to. So again, the risk towards quite well from that support to that key level up there. So I think if we can get GBJPY to fall again, GBUSD looks like it's falling, so if it does follow behind it, we could maybe see a pushback down to that same support, slight breakthrough, tap into that key support there. And if you do, of course, get those confirmations, it might be a nice possible buy for GBJPY. But obviously at the time when we did push to the upside from here, it was looking very bullish, so I thought price was just going to take off to the upside without coming to test that support, which it still could do, of course. But yeah, I think maybe if we do see price have another fall again, come tap into this area here, we could see the continuation to the upside for GBJPY. But not interested right now. Again, you can see very choppy, a lot of wicks all over the place. So if you do get a nice push down, then could look to take it higher, but nothing quite there yet for GBJPY. But got an eye on it to see if you can get some opportunities coming up for that pair. But yeah, main focus is Euro USD for possible buys, looking quite bearish, and it's not too far away from that area. So we'll see if we can get some buying opportunities for Euro USD. But yeah, so far just got a remaining position on, see if we can get that continuation. But yeah, not too much for me just yet in the markets. And like always, guys, if you want me to take a look at any different pairs, any different charts, want to show you trades, just let us know. Put it down in the chat. We'll get to it and see what's going on with those pairs. Yeah, sure, we'll take a look at Euro NZD. So Euro NZD, like I was saying for this one earlier, from yesterday we were looking quite bullish. I believe yesterday we were trading around here. We saw the continuation to the upside back into this key level. Again, you can see it is a nice level of resistance. We tapped into this twice before. Once here, big move all the way down to this support. Tapped it again and same move back into that support. So again, it's a nice area to look at, nice area of resistance. I think long term, I think USD is breaking through this level here and is starting to have a bit of reversal here in the markets from a higher highs, higher lows. As you push, pullback, push, a big complex pullback there. Now we're seeing the continuation. So I'm favouring USD to eventually break through this, but maybe looking at a lower time frame. I'm not too sure what time frame you're looking to trade on, but maybe in the lower time frame is 30-minute hourly. Could take advantage of maybe a slight pullback to the downside, back into this resistance here, I think, before maybe having a bigger push back into that level, because I think USD wants to go and break through this level. Just looking at the structure of price, seeing that we form those higher highs, higher lows into that level. So we could see a bearish reaction to form another higher low. If we look on the hourly, be a bit more clearer. So yeah, here on the hourly, so we've had the push into this key area. Potentially could see a pullback to form another higher low potentially, and then the bigger push to the upside. So it could take advantage of that pullback there in the market on the lower time frames, like hourly 30 minutes, for the bigger push to the upside, because again, it's a substantial level which I am expecting to have a bearish reaction, even though I'm expecting price to eventually go break through it. Expecting to see a reaction to the downside. 4 hour, yeah, not too sure for 4 hour, because again, I could be wrong, but looking at the price action for Euro NZD on the higher time frames, like at least the daily anyway, it looks like price action is having a bit of a reverse. We've seen this big bearish trend here since March last year, and it looks like it could be starting to reverse. We've seen that big push to the upside recently. Excuse me. Big push to the upside recently. We've had this push down. Looks like it was just retracement, and now we're getting that continuation. So if you're looking to short this one, again, it's got to be not a long-term trade. So it is a big range, really, if you look at that resistance support. So there's a chance we could see another swing back down to that area there. Of course, that is a possibility, which again, risk to reward would be really great if that was to play out. But looking at this from structural point of view of how a price is moving from those higher highs, higher lows, it looks like we want to have a brief push to the downside, maybe form a higher low there, maybe midway between that resistance and that support, and then push on further to the upside, because it looks like this price action here was just a retracement, and now we're seeing the continuation to the upside. Again, I know that's very messy, so if I can clear that up for you. So yeah, it looks like we're having that retracement to the downside. So this bearish price action here, because this is a very impulsive move. This here looks to all just be some retracement, and now we're seeing the continuation to the upside. So you were shorting that, kind of shorting the continuation of the trend, really. So that's the only reason why I'm not expecting to see such a big reaction. But again, if you're trading 4H, you could still catch a few good pips there. Again, to around halfway, I'd say to around this area here. We do have kind of area of the recent low in the market, so around the 1.68 400, 1.68 200, this area here. I think probably have to do it in stages. So yeah, I do think that's a good place to look to short the market, yes, because of that resistance. But again, I wouldn't look to hold it for too long. So yeah, it could be a push to this area here as the first target, maybe second target all the way down there if we do kind of make that full range and just trading the resistance to the support. But I'll probably recommend maybe getting a stop loss to break even once the trade has gone in your direction from that resistance, just to protect yourself. But yeah, I think first target's got to be here, but that could end up reversing. But anyway, you probably would have banked some money anyway, some profits anyway, and if you were to push through that, back into this support will probably be the final target, which will be a great trade if it does play out. So yeah, it does look good. Does look good. But again, wait for those confirmations. And if price does return back to the area, it probably wants to go and break through it anyway. So yeah, it does look like a good opportunity there. But again, just make sure you wait for your confirmations. And price action, of course. Okay, so it's just gone 12 p.m, so we're going to end the live stream shortly. But we're going to do a quick rundown on some of the pairs that we looked at before and see how they're getting on. So we'll start with Aud Usd. So you can see if this pair was still looking bearish here. I had a nice retest of that resistance, 0.78 key level of resistance. We broke to the downside, came back, retest it. And now you can see we're falling to the downside there again. So expecting to see more downside continuation for Aud Usd. Again, we've got two kind of areas where price might have a hard time pushing through. Of course, we've got this recent low here in the market where we could see a push up, or if we push back down to 0.77. So if we don't push to the upside from this area here, we'll probably push to the upside from the 0.77, that key support there in the market. So although the market is looking bullish here, I still think Aud Usd can push higher soon, but it looks like it's still retracing, so it might see a push back down into that area, or maybe even 0.77, but we are still looking quite bearish for that pair. Euro USD still waiting on a little bit more retracement for this pair back into 1.21800. Again, retest that, give some nice confirmation, let's go long from there, and looking like we could be seeing a bit more retracement for that pair, but overall still very bullish on Euro USD. GPUSD, again, still bullish on this one, but looks like we're having a bit of retracement to the downside here. Again, you can see we had a nice bull run, create some new highs past this key levels there, and now looks like we're retracing and create some lower highs, and market's just respected that quite well, and now pushed to the downside below that recent low. So expecting a bit more downside for GBUSD, then maybe we can see some continuation in the later stages of the week. Looking at USD CAD, so again expecting more retracement. We kind of got above this level here, retested it. I think if we do hold above that level, we could slowly push, maybe come up to this level here and see a nice push to the downside there for USD CAD. But I think as long as we stay above this support here in the market, I think we can see price trickle up a little bit more. Again, not saying a reversal or, you know, bigger move, just a bit more retracement, come back to this key resistance and then see the bigger push to the downside there for USD CAD. And don't really want to sell it now, as after just broken back above support. Could probably look for sales there, expecting a bigger push to the downside there and just see the overall downtrend continue. USJPY is having a bit of a push to the upside. We broke through that trend line there in the market, so again expecting to see a push back into this resistance here potentially. I've got this daily trend line here as well, which the market is respecting. If I go on the daily, you can see using those bodies there, price action still pushing to the upside, so you could see maybe one more push back into that resistance and then potentially another opportunity to look to short the pair as well, and expecting to see another test or break of that trend line in the market for the daily. UCHF still bearish here, but it is pushing to the upside, so again looking for those lower highs. You can see push, pullback, push, pullback, push. So now expecting another pullback before another push to the downside, unless it takes out some key levels and then maybe you've got a bit of a reversal in our hands. But right now the overall market bias is still to the downside, still treating this as a pullback. Kind of got two areas of where price can maybe push into. So we've got kind of the first key area of supply where we did see a nice push to the downside, so the market could get rejected from here and dump to the downside, or maybe push higher up to come and have a double top or maybe triple top or whatever. Just reject this area here and then see the push to the downside from there as well. So kind of two areas to look at for UCHF for more continuation to the downside, but right now still bullish. I don't think it's quite ready yet to sell. So expecting a bit more retracement to the upside for USDCHF. So currently only in EURUSD, but still waiting for a bit more retracement to come tap into this level here and look to buy into that and see if we can take this higher. Again, overall long-term bias is back to the highs 1.23500. Again, if I go on the daily, we've just had a nice breakout of that resistance there, strong close. Looking for price to resume back to these highs here and just fill that range in. So waiting for a bit more retracement for EURUSD. Again, hopefully should happen by the end of the week. And then we can look for the continuation from there and see if we can push back those highs up there. So waiting for those buys, but quite not ready yet for that pair. So we'll see if we can get into those trades. But that is the end of the live stream, everyone. Thank you again for joining. It does mean a lot. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and also leave a like if you're feeling generous. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Make sure you join my Telegram channel. Left links to that in the description below. Again, recommended broker down below as well, so make sure you go check that out. But thanks again for watching, guys, and until the next one, I will see you guys later.